Hello all, and today for my next video I am going to continue on with the discussion I had earlier on regarding Brexit and Britain and how I see the British could possibly start to salvage something out of this complete mess. Now, I personally don't see there being much way to salvage much out of Brexit, to be quite honest. It doesn't make much sense to cut yourself off completely from your nearest trading partner. Here in Ireland, we did that when we became independent, and it took us a long time, well over 70 years, before we started reaping any sort of benefit from it. And it was only because we had other options with nearby markets that we could latch onto. So, how could Brexit be made a success, or at least less of a failure? Well, the first thing is that Northern Ireland needs to be taken out of the equation. The North is something that's holding the whole Brexit endeavour back. If Northern Ireland was disconnected from the UK and handed over, or well, not so much handed over, but maybe joined the Republic of Ireland, then that would remove at least one hurdle with regards to having a completely isolated island of Britain and United Kingdom. But at present, Northern Ireland does tend to be a bit of an issue. Coupled with that, and on a similar vein, would be Gibraltar, which also has the same sort of issues, but to a lesser extent. So that would be the first. The second major thing that would need to happen is that Britain would need to really seriously find alternative markets to Europe. And if they can't be able to find some way of linking up more heavily with Europe, that doesn't involve rejoining Europe. Like during the Brexit campaign, the idea was mostly to link up more heavily with the USA. But as America seems to be withdrawing more and more into itself, that does not seem to be much of an option these days. The only other alternative really is to build closer links to Europe without actually being part of Europe. This would involve maybe joining some European institutions such as the free market and the customs union, but not actually having a seat at the table, so to speak. So, didn't say they were good options. It's the only way I can see out of it. Thirdly, the British need to kind of build up more unification within themselves. At the moment, the Scottish independence movement is growing stronger and stronger, with a stronger cry for Scotland to become an independent state and join the European Union in its own regard. The Welsh in Wales, there is a smaller independence movement, but it's still there. And as Brexit is more or less a policy and endeavour that was driven by English nationalism more than anything else, it would seem that either the United Kingdom as we know it needs to break apart and let places like Scotland, as I mentioned earlier, Northern Ireland, break away, or needs to come up with some other format to unify more strongly, which does not degrade the self-determination and position of people like the Scottish. So maybe if these issues could be resolved, big maybe, then you could see some sort of progressive move within Brexit. But whether or not the European Union has its problems, and it never said that it didn't, or whether or not the European Union is on the cusp of failure, which has been bandied around as an idea ever since the Union came into being in the early 2000s, the situation as it stands is that Britain is in a bit of a limbo. It can't progress forward with Brexit without taking some very serious steps that would remake the United Kingdom into something completely different to what it is today. And the other alternative is to go back into the European Union and rejoin the institutions and have Britain take its place within the European community. It remains to be seen which way they decide to go. I'm banking, if I was a betting man, I would say it's going to take at least another 10 to 15 years before Britain is in a position to come back. I can't see, with the way the world is going, the rise of China and the withdrawal of America from the world stage, I can't see Brexit really coming about in a good way. But we'll just have to see how it turns out. At present, I don't think there is, as I said in the last video, I don't think there is enough of a push towards reunification. I don't, even though it's quite popular amongst the population politically, it's still a bit of a landmine. So we'll see how things turn out. Now, as I like to do in these videos, sometimes I relate back to Irish issues. When we became independent, like, we went through turbulent periods as well. But the key issue, the biggest difference between us leaving the British Empire and the British leaving the European Union is that Ireland had a very strong will for self-determination, which I don't see in Britain. Anyway, take care.